Hey everyone, welcome to the Infinite Binge. We are watching Stranger Things 2, Episode 9, The Gate. I am Jake, and who else is here?
Kevin,
And Andrew.
it's finally here.
Yeah, we're watching The Gate, guys. Stephen Dorff in the backyard finding a geode, and then he has to use a bottle. Well, not a bottle rocket, but like a model rocket.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have watched the wrong thing.
Well, it's child Stephen Dorff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're talking like 1984.
And then they get a phone call from the parents, and all it says is,
You've been bad.
There you go.
1987, actually.
It's probably the best movie. And there's a sequel. It's called The Gate 2.
That one is not as good.
It is not. So we should probably jump right in. This episode picks up right where the last one left off, and Mike and Elle embrace. And Hopper, tells everyone that he's been hiding Elle.
And that goes over well.
Yeah, Mike isn't too pleased with Hopper about this. Dustin shows off his pearls. Elle's not a fan of Max. Joyce asks Elle if she can close the gate. And there are a lot of dead demodogs.
Well, no, there are just a lot of
demodogs.
Yeah, just around the gate area.
Yeah. There's too many.
Someone should do something about this.
Yeah, it needs to be nipped in the bud. They have an infestation.
I would say that it's past getting nipped in the bud.
So it's time to call John Goodman from Arachnophobia.
Or they need to call the Ghostbusters.
Or the Goozers need to go to work.
Then it cuts to Mama Wheeler. She's having a bath and a romance novel. And Ted is asleep in the chair, right?
Useless as usual.
Yep. And the Billy is ringing the doorbell. So she gets her bathrobe and she answers the door.
And then immediate awkwardness ensues.
Yeah. And she tells Billy where to go, but she seems to be super into Billy.
That was one of the most, probably 80s things of the show, was that scene to me. Because it seemed like a big 80s movie thing, you know?
What, going after the mom?
Well, yeah, like high school senior hot mom. High school age, probably senior or something, but yeah, that whole thing.
So the kids everyone, not just the kids, but they're all trying to formulate a plan. And they realize they can't close the gate while Will is still infected and part of the Mind Flayer's army. So they need to get Will to the point where he is uninhabitable as a host. So since the Mind Flayer likes the cold, they realize that they need to heat him up. So, and then he also needs to be somewhere where he doesn't know where he is. So Hopper has an idea of where that might be. So they send Jonathan and Joyce and Nancy with Will to Hopper's shack with a bunch of space heaters. And Steve realizes that he may have not been a good boyfriend, but he is a pretty good babysitter. And then we also get a really good scene with Elle and Mike where basically Mike doesn't want to lose Elle again.
Is Steve a good babysitter, though?
Is he?
All things considered, he's not bad.
I mean, he's definitely better at knowing what's going on than, say, Ted.
There's that.
Yeah.
But, a rock knows more than what's going on than Ted.
I'd say Steve's a good babysitter.
I don't know. He led Dustin. Oh, Dustin led him to a bus, the junkyard, so where they could confront, a monster.
Well, I mean,
instead of just saying, "Hey, let's go tell the DOE."
Well, if you go to the DOE, things are going to go from bad to worse.
That's true.
He knew what he was doing. He had his spike bat, or his nail bat.
No, I mean, he got real lucky there. They should have all died.
Yeah, they should have.
And why was the only person helping him that one random girl?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Will haunt us for ages.
So then what happened?
So, Oh, I was gonna say. So Hopper kind of probes Elle about where she's been, and he tells her, or she tells him that she went to go see Mama, and kind of probes about like how she got there, and eventually it comes a nice man in a big truck took her to Mama. So Hopper's like kind of incredulous about the whole situation, and he feels really bad about everything. And then he kind of talks about how he feels like he's a black hole, and talks about how the black hole got Sarah. And I did they ever say that Sarah was the name of his daughter?
I don't recall.
I think maybe in the first season.
But basically, they both realized they've both been stupid, and that breaks their rule. And Hopper says that he doesn't hate this new look, and that's when Elle goes bitchin'. Yeah, okay, sure, bitchin'.
It was a nice scene. Yeah, but then so from there we go from that to Dustin hilariously having Steve clear out the buyer's fridge to stuff the Demodog in it because what did he say? It was for like scientific purposes or something like that.
It was a major scientific discovery.
Yeah. So he's just stuffing it in there, and so after that, the kids, they want to help because they're just kind of left out, and they're kids, and this ain't their first rodeo. But Steve is like, no, that ain't happening. I'm the babysitter. I gotta take care of you guys. And so he's trying to just shut it down. And everyone's show favorite Billy then shows up. And he gets out of his car. And Steve comes outside. And there was a comical little exchange where Billy goes, am I dreaming? Or is that you, Harrington? And Steve retorts back with yeah, it's me. Don't cream your pants. And so he tells Steve, though, he's looking for Max, and that, she's there, and he's saying, well, no, she's not there. And then he kind of looks, and it cuts to the window, and you just see all their faces just dart down. And so Billy kind of makes his way into the house, and confrontations begin. Because first, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, did Billy hit Steve before going inside?
I think so.
Okay.
I believe that's what happened.
Trying to get yeah, so he hits Steve, goes inside, and then he sees Lucas. And again, I'm still not positive if Billy's like racist.
I think so.
I'm thinking that's it.
It's implied.
Yeah, but it's never like outright confirmed. But so he like starts attacking Lucas, and Steve shows back up, and they start brawling, and it starts okay for Steve. It doesn't continue going that way. It kind of does not end well for him as he lays on the ground.
Well, he was
lot.
winning until Billy cheated and used a foreign object.
I mean,
he hit him with a plate, right?
Yeah. Well, did they hit each other with a couple of things like that?
I don't think so. I think Steve was being honorable and just using his hands.
I guess, I don't know. It's a street fight. Anything goes. Or it's a house fight. Anything goes. But as Steve is on the ground getting whooped, Max, sees the sedative they've been shooting Will up with, so she grabs that, stabs it into Billy, and then as he's kind of, passing, about to black out, she yells at him to stay away from her friends and, leave him alone, and then she takes the nail bat and gets close to a sensitive area, and then they take off.
And he agrees to stay away from her friends.
He agrees, but again, for that part, when he agreed, I was like, oh, well, you're about to black out, so when you wake up, you might still be full of rage and, go right back after all of them.
Yeah, try to run him over, but he doesn't have the car.
Yeah.
How did they get Steve into the car?
Well, there's like 4 of them.
That's true.
Yeah, just kind of dragged him. Was he knocked out completely? Yeah, he was.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he was just
yeah.
being
What am I
punched
saying? Yeah,
repeatedly
he
in the
was.
face. Looked like Billy was gonna kill him.
He, yeah, probably was going to if he didn't get stabbed. But yeah, they probably just dragged him.
Yeah,
It would have
that
been
seems
quite
like
a bit of
good
work.
call.
But then, yeah.
So, then Joyce, Nancy, and Jonathan arrive at Hopper's shack, and they start setting up the space heaters, to kill the Mind Flayer. Mind Flayer, by the way, is a good name. I like that name. What were we calling it before?
Was it
The
the Thessal
Hydra.
something? Yeah.
The Thessal Hydra. Well, because that was what the monster was in their D&D game at the end of last season.
Yeah. They didn't go with it, though. It's the Mind Flayer.
A little more fitting, I think.
Yeah. Then Hopper and Elle arrive at the lab. She seems kind of reluctant. And it cuts back to Steve freaking out as Max is driving Billy's car.
That was so good.
That was a really good scene.
I was like, oh my god, you're gonna kill us.
And I don't think we've said where they're driving to, right? Like they figured out where they need to go. And then when Steve was like saying, no, we can't do that. Like they're going back to the upside down like tunnels in like the by the pumpkin patch.
Yeah, where Hopper had dug before.
Yeah.
And kind of at this point, like everything starts to like speed up.
Yeah.
And so there's like there's gonna be like a lot of jumps and a lot of cuts. A lot of what have yous. Like the next thing is that Will is in pain with the heat and he's kind of like writhing and like fighting.
Yeah, it's a bunch of these like really quick scenes where it's just cutting back and forth. So this goes from Will then to Steve and them arriving at the tunnels.
Yeah, and I think that's when they're like, Steve's like, what in the hell are we doing? And Dustin's like, a party member requires assistance.
And then it cuts back to Hopper and Elle, and then they're in the basement and they find Burke and he's still alive.
Yeah, but he's like, he's pretty messed up.
Yeah, but how is he still alive? Those things just devoured Bob.
It looked like maybe they weren't hungry anymore.
Or maybe they got called away when they were attacking him.
Oh, yeah. Well,
because they did have to suddenly run to the buyer's place.
Yeah, because that was when Will brought them there because of when he was the spy.
Yeah, let's go with that. That's why he's still alive.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, he's in a bad way, and Hopper mentions to him that he wants Burke to help Elle lead a normal life after all this. And then back in the tunnels, Dustin gets puked on, but he's okay. And they make it to the hub, and they start to drench it with gasoline. And then Will continues to resist, and he's like very obviously in pain, and he's very uncomfortable. Jonathan's worried that they're going to kill him by doing this, and he wants to stop. And then, like, at this point, I'm trying to keep up with everything, and he, like, it looks like the veins in his neck, like in the capillaries and stuff, start to turn black.
Yeah.
And then, like, an arm breaks free, and Joyce tries to, like, restrain him. She gets on top of him and holds his arm down, but, like, his arm slips free, the arm that he broke free, and starts to choke her with it. And then Hopper and Elle make it to the basement control room, but there are demo dogs there.
Lots of them in this place. And then it goes back to Will, and he's convulsing, and then all the smoke flies out of him. Oh, but before that, though, it was Steve set the
hub on fire.
Yeah. And then Nancy took the hot poker to Will. That had to hurt, by the way.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like she stuck it into him, but it was like right next to him, like.
Even still, that had to hurt.
Yeah, no, it totally did.
Well, did it touch him at all? I think it touched him a little bit, right? Just like over close.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like right next to him, but that's like when. That's when everything sends over the edge, and that's when the black smoke like starts to fly out.
Yeah, that's what like pushes him over, and then it gets it out of him.
And then it flies out of the shack, and I assume towards the lab or the hub.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You'd think so, but it doesn't really indicate just that it's gone.
Yeah. back to wherever.
Yeah, but then Will wakes up and he instantly recognizes Joyce. So you know everything's okay with him.
Yep. So yay, Will's back.
Yeah.
Will's back in the last episode.
Well, he was around for the first couple.
That is true. You know, maybe eventually he'll be in a whole season.
I wouldn't count on it.
It kind of feels like the show is turning into like Super Mario Brothers with Will. It's like, oh, Princess Peach always gets kidnapped. You know, something always happens to Will.
I'll be kind of disappointed if that's next season.
It's something
If
to
they
do
do it
again.
And then Jonathan calls Hopper on the walkie-talkie. Chief, do you copy? Close it. I'm kidding. His voice doesn't break.
It would have been funny if it did like that.
So then they start to. So then Hopper and Elle take a elevator thing down, and like there's a lot of red in the frame, like projecting against them, and it kind of looks like they're descending into hell.
Now, I just want to point this out again, which we said it, a couple episodes ago. Clearly, they knew about everything down here because they had this elevator thing, and they knew about the tunnels. I don't understand how.
I don't think they knew about the tunnels. I don't think they ever looked below that initial gate, that initial tear that opened. I don't think they ever looked below.
They have an elevator going down like the whole tear.
Well, so then they also had, there was that bit where they went into the tunnels with the soldiers before like all hell broke loose.
No, and yeah, but I mean, even before, it's not like they were just like, oh look, there's this giant gaping chasm here. I guess we need to put this elevator thing here. Like that takes time. They knew it was there, and then they had like the flamethrower guy just doing one tiny little doorway.
Yeah, I thought it was just a like a box with attached to a wire that was getting lowered. It wasn't like a proper elevator.
Like a mine shaft elevator.
Yeah. When I say elevator, I mean like kind of like a shark-resistant cage with.
Yeah, but like I said,
I don't think that would take too long. You just like hook it up to like a winch.
I mean, this is the DOE we're talking about here.
Yeah, they don't think.
But yeah, that when I saw that, like, and it might have been one of the earlier episodes when I noticed that it was there. But when it hit me when they were going down this, where I was like, they knew that huge gaping like gate portal thing was there. Like, why did they not mention or try to do anything about that? Like they knew it was there,
Because there it is.
Yeah, but then we get back to the kids running out trying to escape the tunnels, and then Mike falls, or does Mike fall, or was it Dustin?
No, it's Mike. Mike falls, and like the vines start to cover him.
Yeah.
Okay. Dustin falls too at one point though, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, that's when he gets puked on.
It was the earlier part. Okay, I'm getting them mixed up in my head then. Okay.
It's kind of hard because they all have stuff covering their faces.
Yeah, well, and it's one that, like you had said earlier, it's that part where all these scenes are just jumping around because so much is happening now.
Yeah, it's like boom, 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 like one thing after another.
Yeah. So then we come back. Elle start using her powers, trying to close the gate, and you can see, and she sees the mind flayer through it, which it's a pretty creepy looking thing.
Yeah, it looks like a xenomorph.
Yeah, a cooler xenomorphs look cool. A cooler looking xenomorph because it's got like all the legs and stuff. It's like a xenomorph spider almost. That's 20 stories tall.
Sounds better than Prometheus.
Let's not go there.
And Alien Covenant.
I enjoyed both of those.
Well, that makes one of us.
1 out of 3 people recommend both of those movies.
Anyways, then as they're escaping, and then back to the kids, I should say, and as they're escaping, Demodogs get up to them. But it's not just any Demodog. It's Dart. And they're getting kind of ready, because it looks like he's gonna pounce, and then Dustin's like, "No, I got this, and whips out the. Did he bring three? Because he whipped out 3 Musketeers. Do you think he just had that with him, or he was like, "I'm gonna see Dart. I might see Dart. I should bring this with me."
I think last season.
Yeah, he was the one who brought snacks.
Yeah, he brings the rations.
That's
for
right.
The adventure.
I didn't remember that at all. Okay, yep. So he brought that just for himself, then, though.
Yeah, totally. And it looked like he gave up like a full-size 3 Musketeers too.
Oh, he definitely did. But yeah, he feeds it to Dart, takes it, he says his goodbye, and then they go on making their way. And then, so for this next part, it cuts back to Elle, and she's having trouble. So, unfortunately, we flash back to a prior episode, which I think deserves no more discussion. And she recalls channeling, like, everything that makes her angry into giving her more power to help close the gate.
And then Steve and company, cut back to Steve and company, and they're running towards the exit. Max gets out, then Lucas is out, Mike is out. So it's just Dustin and Steve left, and the demo dogs charge them. And so it looks really bad for Dustin and Steve. But then the demo dogs pass them by because they're going for Elle. And Hopper starts shooting the demo dogs as they start to attack the. I don't know what to call that thing if not an elevator.
It's an elevator. It's definitely.
You can, you can call it an elevator, but it's not like a proper elevator.
Yeah. It's not like a
makeshift elevator.
It's like it's an open elevator.
Yeah, because it's just like it's surrounded by air. I don't even know how the demo dogs got to it.
They climbed up the walls and then jumped over, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing that would make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Hopper is shooting them. So Elle continues to try to close the gate, and she's bleeding from both nostrils and her ears now. She continues to have flashbacks, and then she starts to levitate, and she's like fighting to close the gate. And then like all of the lights everywhere start to brighten, like they're becoming overpowered, overcharged.
Yeah, and that's like in town, just everywhere.
Like the headlights on Billy's car do it as well. So it's not like just stuff connected to the grid, it's like everything. And then Elle closes the gate. And then the demo dogs start to fall down the shaft. And Hopper holds her and says, "You did good, kid. You did so good."
Now, the one complaint I have about that with the closing the gate, and the only way I could see I'll be okay with it is if it's kind of something that's kind of taken further in the next season. But I thought it would have been like a really good moment of character growth if instead of like her doing the anger stuff to close it, they had like the nice, instead she started thinking about like Mike and everyone else, and like instead of using anger, to get more power, it would have been like nice to grow and like
think about love or something.
Or like relationships, people she cares about. Yeah, that thing. So the only reason I'll be okay is if in season 3 they have her keep doing that, and then she to a point becomes an antagonist because she does that, and so it makes her a much darker and kind of quote unquote eviler kind of.
So character. you want her to become a Sith?
You want her to go full dark side?
Yes, basically that, because that's kind of what she's doing right there, is becoming a Sith.
No, I chose my words.
But
I chose my analogy.
So did closing the gate kill all the demo dogs, or did she close the gate and kill all the demo dogs?
The closing killed them.
Yeah, I think that's or at least that was the hypothesis of everything that they were talking about, and that's what happened.
Okay, so the Demogorgon from last season is completely unrelated to the Mind Flayer.
Completely unrelated, yep.
And it can go back and forth between the dimensions as it chooses, as it wants.
Yes.
It just punches a hole and goes through.
Yes, because that was like a different being. But the Demodogs were all like part of the Mind Flayer.
And the Mind Flayer. Mind Flayer can't do it. Not as strong or as powerful as the Demogorgon.
That I'm not sure.
It's
Maybe because
larger.
it's too big, and that's why the tear was growing, because maybe the DOE
Or
was
maybe because
actually
it's not,
slowing the portal it was opening.
or maybe because it's not corporeal. It's just like a cloud. It's like smoke.
Is it though?
But it's still got like, but it's able to do other things, like because Will never went into the Upside Down, but it still infected Will. Like he was physically in our world, but he got infected by it.
His mind was in the Upside Down. It is a mind
Yes,
flare.
or he like astral projection shit or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But no, I do kind of, like I said, I do kind of hope that if they go with her, you know, using like her anger, that they kind of actually take advantage of that and try and write something good in the story. Because again, I don't know. I thought that would have been
You
a
wanted
good
to
thing for
ring,
character growth.
or you wanted to have, you want there to be consequences for using that particular emotion.
Yeah, she was supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them.
The mind flayer had the high ground. Well, what is it? What is it that? So, like when she's doing the flashbacks, and she's thinking about the thing with Brenner showing up, which was totally Callie, talking about how she has this festering wound inside her, and I wonder if her anger and her hate is that what he's meant? Is that what he's referring to? And if she keeps using that emotion, is it like picking at the wound?
Yeah,
and making it
it
worse?
would be, yeah, and that's what I want, like if they explore that more, because yeah, that's realistically what would happen, like because she's not moving on, the character isn't moving on from those things. They're just oh god, I can't think of the right word, but she's just focusing on this old stuff instead of trying to move beyond it. So like it's always going to be a problem, and then in turn I would think if they're going to go that route, have her just be a Mike, be a Grumblepuss basically the next season, because that's all she'll be thinking about, because that's what she's focusing on just all the time.
Do you think Elle goes like full Dark Phoenix?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about that because in the first season, the first episode, there's a reference to Dark Phoenix. Because they're like, I'll race you for one of your comic books, and then they're like, X-Men number, whatever it was.
Yeah, that's right. The
134.
Where Dark Phoenix shows up. Yep.
But you might think the way we're talking about this, that this was the end of the season.
Not quite.
Jake, do you want to take us home?
Sure. It cuts to 1 month later. The lab is closed, and there's Murray there. I'm glad we got to see Murray again.
We have one more Brett Gelman.
He's watching the military leave, and the MP give him the finger. And we saw that there was justice for Barb, which made me happy. Because that's one thing that bugged me last season, was that it was like, oh, it's this big happy ending, but what about Barb? And Hopper meets Burke at the tavern. Burke gives Hopper a birth certificate for Elle. That says her name is Jane Hopper.
That was a nice scene.
Everyone's still going to call her Elle, though, right? 11.
I hope so. I would.
It's a cooler name than Jane. And then all the kids are getting ready for the snowball.
I like how Erica was being antagonistic towards Lucas.
Yeah.
Like, I want more of that in the next season.
Yeah. Well, just all the family stuff was all really good throughout the season.
Except for Ted.
Well, I mean, Ted sucks, but his scenes were still good.
Like he was good in them.
Yeah. He played the worthless man perfectly.
Yeah. Next season, do you want Dustin to have his hair like this?
Yes.
Where he used the Steve method and made his hair look as close to Steve's as possible?
Even though his hair is like way too curly.
I feel like that's what made it, though.
Yeah, it was great.
It just looked like a perm.
Yeah, I wish I could get a perm.
Oh, you can.
I don't want to grow my hair out that long.
You should do it and then get a perm.
I have seriously thought about it before, as like for doing it for like.
Are you
Halloween.
serious? Oh, okay.
But I mean, it would still, I'd still be growing it out that full year, or however many months.
And then you'd get it, and you'd say, "I look good. I'm keeping this."
Yeah.
And then you're
I
just
probably would.
perm to Kevin forever. But yeah, Steve takes Dustin to the dance and gives him some advice.
I love that scene.
That's a good scene. All the scenes with Dustin and Steve were great.
Like I want that to be like a spin-off buddy show.
Well,
What if it's like takes place like 20 years later and they're both cops? The buddy cop show of Dustin and Steve.
I just want more Dustin and Steve. I don't care what they're doing.
But they're played by the same actors, but they're in like aged up makeup.
No, stop with that.
You're getting my hopes up.
$1 million idea. And then Steve sees Nancy working the dance. Jonathan is there taking photos. And then Lucas asks Max to dance in the most awkward way possible.
Yeah, I think at this point, like they come in and like there's regular music playing, and then like time after time starts playing by Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, because it's the 80s.
Yeah,
I mean, I still listen to that now.
Because it was from the 80s.
Yeah, kind of.
Then a random girl asks Will to dance. She calls him Zombie Boy, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Then Dustin is going in and gets rejected, and then rejected, and then rejected. But then Nancy sees him, and she starts dancing with him.
Yeah, and gives him kind of like a little pep talk.
Yep. And out of all of Mike's friends, Dustin was her favorite.
I mean, how could he not?
Us
be?
too. Us too.
It's the audience's favorite too, right?
Oh, of course.
Is Nancy the audience? Hopper hangs out with Joyce outside. And there was a scene earlier where they said that they got caught smoking under the bleachers once when they were in school. But in this scene, he's like, I think Mr. whatever his name was has retired.
Yeah, retired in the 70s.
It was a good little callback to that earlier scene.
Yeah, and he tells her that it gets easier because she's still upset about
Bob. As she
Bob
should be.
Newby.
Bob was
Superhero.
the best.
Yeah, I mean, Bob was like a good guy. He was just a good guy.
He's the best. He started the AV Club.
He did start the AV Club. And he saved everyone.
Yeah, but then Mike is all alone, but then walks in Elle. And then they dance to Every Breath You Take by the Police.
Which I found it funny that everyone else is still dancing like still the same couple configuration, because Max calls Lucas stalker. And if you've ever listened to the lyrics to Every Breath You Take,
oh yeah, it's a stalker song.
it's a stalker
I'll be
song.
watching you. And I mean that is the Elle song as well. That's like the perfect Elle song when she would haunt Mike,
making him a grumblepuss.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. She made him a grumblepuss. I feel like that's just his natural state.
That's his natural habitat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he wasn't that way in the first season.
He wasn't that far off, though.
But he didn't know, he hadn't fallen in love with Elle.
But then the camera, it starts like panning out from the school, and then it shows the middle school spin upside down, and then you see the Mind Flayer just like leering over the gym, just standing there over it.
So I guess it'll be back next season then?
It's going to team up with a Demogorgon next season, like a proper one.
It's going to be a buddy cop show with the Mind Flayer and the Demogorgon, where they're going to be patrolling the Upside Down, and they're going to be figuring out how to have Steve's cool hair.
It's going to be a classic case of bad cop, worse cop. I'm not sure which one is which in that situation. Because I think the Demogorgon's move in every interrogation is to start eating
Just kill them.
Yeah, you kill them, start eating them.
So yeah, that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's it. And overall, I'd say it was a pretty good season. I think it started out slow, but it picked up and got good. And then there was that one episode that it was really out of place that we should never talk about again.
Yeah, we keep mentioning it.
When I eventually rewatch the season, I will not be watching that episode, I believe. I'll just skip it.
What episode?
You know, that one?
No, this was only 8 episodes.
Oh, like the first season?
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
There we go. They completely skip 7. They go from 6 to 8 for some inexplicable reason.
Those flashbacks Elle had in this episode were weird.
Yeah, probably something they just didn't have time to actually film. You know, like
probably
a full episode or anything, so.
Yeah, I like this. There were parts about it that I liked better than the first season. There were parts about it that I didn't like as much as I liked things in the first season, which I think is fine. It evened out, I think, in the end.
Yeah, I agree. Looking forward to next season, though.
Yeah, we'll have to wait almost a whole year.
Yeah.
I got plenty to keep me busy, I think.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
we'll find something to keep ourselves busy as well. Not sure what yet, but we'll figure something out.
Anything else you guys want to add before I wrap up?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Make sure you like us on YouTube and leave some comments. Also, share it. And also, you should listen to the All Talk podcast where we talk about all the geek stuff and the Geek Box and Comic Conspiracy and Manga Machinations. And thanks for listening. We will be back with something.